Welcome back, friends. Getting your griddle to the proper temperature is so difficult sometimes, but it's so important to making good food. And I wish I could give you the exact way to set your knobs, but I can't because everyone's got different griddles in different parts of the country or the world at different seasons of the year. So what I'm going to give you is 5 tips on how I get my griddle where I want it, along with the one main tip from my other videos is you need an infrared thermometer. If you haven't seen my mistakes videos or stuff where I talk about that, get an infrared thermometer, go over these tips, use them, and I think you'll end up being able to get to the temperature you want and making delicious food. So I like to preheat all of my 4 burners on low, even if I don't intend on using all 4 burners. This is to keep the griddle from warping, but also all the heat runs together, and low usually gets me where I want to be, around 350 to 400 degrees. So start on low. If you're after 10 minutes, it's not where you want, fine, move to medium. It's so much easier to move up from low than it is to turn it on medium and go, oh my gosh, I'm almost at 500, and then like wait for it to come down and then turn the burner back on. So I just like to preheat them all on low, give it 10 minutes, use my thermometer, see where I'm at, go from there. It's easier to go up than it is to go down in temperature. Tip number 2 is once your griddle gets to the proper temp you want, put your food down. So use your thermometer. This is the Camp Chef one. I'll put a link in the description to other ones. There's tons on Amazon. Use your thermometer. Don't preheat it and then just walk away for 20 minutes because you might come back and it's on 450 and it's like, well, I want it 375 because, you know, I'm just making some burgers or something and that's too high. So take about 10 minutes usually for me with all 4 of them on low, and then once it hits 375, or maybe you do want 450 and you're trying to sear a smash burger, once it gets there, put your food down. That will usually kind of mellow it out and stop it from going up. But you keep using this, and if it does go up, that's when you got to start turning off some of the burners. Number 3 is I will turn off the burners that I'm not using. So like I said, we're preheating it on low, and then I decided I only want to use the middle 2 for like this patty melt I made, and I wanted to use the right side for the caramelized onions. So that was just off, you know. So just turn off the ones you're not using, and that'll help keep it where you want it to be at and not get too hot. Because the main thing is they're getting too hot a lot. A lot of these griddles get too hot and out of the temperature zone you want to cook in. So when I do cut them off, I like to use the middle 2 and cut the outside 2 first. That way the heat comes up and it still distributes to the outside, where if I was cutting off the whole left side and leaving the whole right side on medium or something, then that's really hot and this is all the way off, and that might lead to warping. So I'll just do the middle 2 and cut these off, but we're still preheating them all. Remember, step 1, we're still preheating all of them so that, you know, it doesn't warp. You just want to avoid warping, but don't be afraid to cut them off. Number 4, you can cook your eggs with the residual heat. Sometimes I'll just completely cut a burner off and it's at 350 and I know it's like dropping down and I'm putting my scrambled eggs on there. I'll put in the cards my video I did for scrambled eggs and bacon, real basic, but it just shows you to go low and slow. And I had 2 burners off and 2 burners on, and I just kind of moved them closer to the on burners when I wanted to get more heat and just slowly scrambled the eggs. So you're doing your eggs last if you're following the order list that I've made, and you always want to do them low. So don't be afraid to just say, hey, I'm gonna cut the heat off. These things are big. They'll still have plenty of residual heat to go ahead and cook up your eggs. Tip number 5 is to learn the hot and cool spots of your griddle. Everyone's griddle is different. That's basically the theme of this video. And you need to learn your griddle. And the more you use it, the more you use a thermometer, the more you'll do that. For example, on mine, I know up by the grease trough, it's cooler. So that's why I like to toast bread and sometimes do my eggs. I also know my left 2 burners, between them, for some reason gets really hot compared to the right one. I mean, it's always like 10 degrees higher. So learn your griddle, and if you haven't seen my video about the temperatures to cook the food at, I'll put that on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good one and keep on griddling.